Welcome back, Facebookers, YouTubers, and Milestones Music students. This is Jamin Coller, and I am proud to have in my studio today a man who is a pastor, a musician, played with all kinds of people. Eugene Cole sung and played in several different groups. This is Pastor Carter. Thanks so much for coming in.
Bless you, Kid Jamin. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Great.
So I wanted to ask you, who are some of your influences?
My most influences musically has been Daryl Coley, John P. Key, and Fred Hammond. Those people seem to me really go for excellence in the music, in the gospel music industry. And prior to that, I think it's been, and most people are surprised when I say this, is Peabo Bryson. I grew up kind of listening to Peabo Bryson in New Orleans. And he just had that tone to me that I love, and I used to kind of mimic him.
Right. Were any of those people like personal mentors to you, or was there a person in your life who really kind of showed you the ropes when you were learning?
Daryl Coley would be the one that has been a mentor, and he taught me a lot, told me a lot of things that I should do as far as a singer vocally and even as a musician.
Can you share some of that with us about some of the advice he gave you that really sticks out?
Some of the things that he said to do that, as far as vocally, he said every morning I should do scales. You know, in the morning, if you're doing it in the shower or doing it while you're cooking a meal, do some scales. And you know, I kind of thought that to be strange at the time, and until I had invited him to do a workshop at my church, and I went to his hotel that morning, and lo and behold, you know, he was just getting out the shower and doing scales, and I said, okay, yeah, he practices what he preaches.
Do you have a preference between like B3 and keyboard, piano?
B3 all the way. With the keyboard or piano, you have to work. It really makes you work. And the B3 organ, you can, I mean, you just flow with it, and you just feel it.
That's funny because I feel the opposite way. Being a keyboardist, I feel like when I get up on the organ, now I got all these levers and buttons I got to worry about. I got to worry about the feet and stuff too. Yeah. So, how long have you been playing organ? Where did you start? And
I when I first looked at wanting to be an organist, I was growing up I grew up in New Orleans, and I went to a musical at this little church, and Thomas Whitfield, I didn't know who it was at the time, but Thomas Whitfield sat up on the organ and was playing it, and he was just, I was like, and I said, I want to do that. And of course, you know, I was 9 or 10 at the time, and so. But when I moved to California, I still had that urge to do that. I would look every time someone would get on the organ. I would look and see what they were doing, and after church, I would try to do it. They wouldn't let me get on the organ, but I would try to get on the piano and see what I can do, until I asked Clarence Eggleton to kind of teach me how to play, and he taught me some chords, and from there I started playing the organ.
As far as like incorporating all the different sounds and stuff, the organ and the pedals and stuff, was that just all kind of together? Or do you remember struggling with some of that stuff?
I think in the beginning, my I had problems with my feet. Is coordinating with the feet, but I don't remember it being a long process. Being an organist, you have to have that feel for it, and it should come naturally, and it did come naturally with me. Some people, even Clarence Eggleton, I know you know him. When I see him getting on the organ, everybody knows him as a pianist, but when I see him getting on the organ, he almost plays the piano, plays the organ like a piano, right. And you can't do that. It's the organ's more flowing type, and the piano, of course, you have to strike it.
Could you show us some of like the difference of like what you would do on a piano versus on a organ?
Yeah, the piano you can, and the organ would be more. Well, I can't do it on the organ on the keyboard, but it'd be more. It'd be more more run together. The organ. Now you can probably do these chords the same on the organ too, but I would have also the bass pedal going with it, and it sound much more fuller. And then you can change the sound
Right.
with the organ.
Right. Are there any cheats or anything on the organ? Can you like stop on the pedals and take over on your left hand or?
Oh yeah. A lot of times what I do if I'm playing for a concert and the bass, we don't either have a bass player or the bass player is not prominent on the song, then I may not use my foot pedal and just use the top drawbar bass, and I would just run the bass line there. It's easier that way versus using the pedal because you have to keep moving with the pedal. With the hand bass, you can just run it all the way through and just run it.
Right. Okay. Well, I want to switch gears here for a second and ask you, from a performing standpoint, for new people who are trying to get into the business or they're trying to record, you record with all kinds of people on all kinds of albums. What advice do you have for those people who are really hoping for their big break?
Practice. Practice makes perfect. I cannot say enough. If you're trying to get into, trying to be heard and be seen, you have to practice. There was a young man that I met some years ago, and he, at the time, he was 17 years old, and he played phenomenally, and I could not understand how someone this young could play that well. And we were on tour. At the time, we were in, I believe, Alabama or it might have been Georgia. And I asked him one of our breaks at the hotel. I said, "Dude, how long you been playing?" And he said, 3 years. I said, "No way. How do you play like that in 3 years?" Right. I've been playing for 15 years and I still don't play like that. Right. And he said, what he done, of course, technology these days, he bought bought a DVD, and he has set up there 8 hours a day.
Wow.
And practicing, watching, and learning. And that's how he learned. He bought a bunch of DVDs, and they taught him how to play. And he was diligent. And he spent 8 hours like a job. And sometimes he said he spent all day just doing it, all day and night.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming in. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, James. Thank you.
All right. Good luck. Have fun.